Solo Leveling, Ragnarok. By Dang Du. Chapter 46. Skill, Giant's Armor, Level 1. Active Skill. Required Mana, 10. The entire body is enlarged with magical armor. While the skill is active, mana decreases by 1 per second. Giant's Armor had been obtained after defeating Kwak Du Young. It was a skill that continuously drained mana while it remained active. Suho's current maximum mana was 635, which meant that he could maintain the skill for just as many seconds. This roughly amounted to 10 minutes, assuming he didn't use any other skills. The increase in strength, size, and defense was significant, but it came with a major drawback. Suho's hands grew so large that he couldn't hold any weapons. He had to give up his primary weapons, the 2 swords, and fight barehanded. Smash. As Suho clenched his fist, the power of ruler's authority shrouded his hand with dark energy. He directed his fist toward the sand centipede tightly coiling around his body. The impact made the centipede's elongated body recoil in shock, but it wasn't a fatal blow. The centipede managed to escape unharmed and burrowed back into the sand. The single attack had drained half of Suho's mana, and the duration of the giant's armor was significantly reduced. If I continue to fight like this, I won't even be able to cover the cost of the potions. Suho quickly made a decision. It was time to escape. Release Giant's Armor. The armor of aura that had covered his entire body disappeared, and Suho's body returned to its original size. He immediately climbed onto Arachne's back and reached out to Essel. "What are you doing? Can't you tell that it's time to run away?" Essel was lost for words, but nevertheless, she grabbed his hand without hesitation. Shriek. With Suho and Essel on board, Arachne began to dash across the desert, vigorously flailing its 8 legs. Following closely behind were the 7 giant sand centipedes. The race was on. It was a breathless pursuit, where the line between capture and escape was thin. We might get caught at this rate. Essel, riding atop Arachne, turned to look at the rapidly approaching centipedes with her eyes filled with determination. Without hesitation, she hurled her spear toward the closest centipede. Swish! The centipede contorted its body and narrowly evaded the attack. While it allowed them to gain some distance, Essel's spear was now lost. "What about your weapon?" Suho asked. "Just watch. Return." Essel reached out her hand and shouted, and her spear flew back to her like a boomerang. She confidently twirled the spear and looked at Suho with a sense of pride. "This spear is my horn. It always returns to me, no matter where it is." Horn? It's a demon's horn. Some demons use their own horns as weapons. Our Ragnarok clan does the same. That's great news. Why? Essel was taken aback. Suho looked at her with a glint in his eyes. "This time, I'll create an opening for you, so be ready to strike." He chuckled and drew his swords while on Arachne's back. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. The swords whipped up a sandstorm. He aimed to obscure the creature's vision. His plan succeeded, and the faces of the sand centipedes were shrouded in thick sand and dust. "Now." "Got it." Essel infused her spear with mana and hurled it at the creatures. Her spear flew through the sandstorm and exploded upon hitting the centipede's body. The blinded centipede, startled by the attack, writhed its long body and retreated into the sand once more. They keep hiding when things get tough. With a clenched fist that seemed to express her frustration, Essel beckoned her spear back into her hand. Young Monarch. Baru, who had been away from the action, appeared in front of Suho. "Escape in that direction." Suho turned his gaze toward the pointed direction and spotted something interesting. A pyramid? His eyes widened in astonishment. The chaos of being chased by the sand centipedes had distracted him from noticing the colossal pyramid standing like a painting in the distance. Could this mean we were on Earth this whole time? Suho muttered, his eyes in disbelief. "It seems like we are on a field-type dungeon on Earth, to be exact," Baru replied. Was the gate connected to Earth? This was truly an unexpected situation. The realization fully sunk in when Suho recognized the faint blue mist mixed in with the swirling sands. No, come to think of it, this might not be all that surprising. If gates on Earth led to dungeons, the existence of a gate from Shadowed Dungeon that led back to Earth wasn't so strange. Suho promptly directed Arachne toward the pyramid. They tried to get as close to the pyramid as possible as they battled the sand centipedes, but to their surprise, the centipedes' pursuit suddenly ceased. They're not chasing us anymore. We're saved. Essel cheered with joy. Ahem. Baru stood tall with an air of pride above Essel's head. Suho assumed there was more than meets the eye, and he scrutinized the movements of the centipedes with great interest. The creatures didn't approach the pyramid but instead lingered nearby. Are they afraid of the pyramid? Why? Suho redirected his gaze toward the pyramid. He was astonished to find that a small village had formed around the pyramid. I guess we really are on Earth. Even at a glance, the appearance of the village was quite modern. Modern signs were attached to the ancient ruins surrounding the pyramid. Who's there? Just as they approached the village, the guards stationed at the village's perimeter received them with surprise and confusion. How did you get here? One of the guards asked. Did you cross that red desert? Another asked. What are they saying? Suho realized that there was now a language barrier. It sounded like the guards were speaking in Arabic. How did you manage to get here without being attacked by sand centipedes? A guard asked. Surprisingly, Essel understood Arabic and acted as an interpreter. Demons understand and communicate through intent rather than human languages. The fact that the demon had been using Korean was quite astonishing on its own. Anyway, this is convenient. Suho descended from Arachne with Essel and approached the guards. The attempted conversation felt more like an interrogation as their entrance hinged on the outcome. Are you hunters? Yes. What is your purpose for visiting this place? We don't have one. We ended up here randomly after being chased by sand centipedes. So, how long will you stay before you return? We're running low on supplies here. We'll rest for a bit and leave soon. Suho responded to the guards' every question with Essel's help. He sensed that they were drawn to something else. It seems like they have an interest in Arachne. The giant spider he'd ridden there had a threatening presence. But to Suho's surprise, the guards seemed rather friendly toward the beast and began asking questions about it. Who among you is the summoner of this spider? Is this spider a means of transportation? Who would have thought to cross the red desert on a spider? How impressive. Can your spider carry others as well? Other hunters usually come here by helicopter. By helicopter? Suho looked around with a puzzled look. Why would people choose to fly a helicopter to this perilous land surrounded by giant centipedes? He scanned his surroundings. No matter where he looked, all he could see was sand. The exception was the single pyramid in the distance. Do people come here with helicopters because of the pyramid? Suho asked. The guards' eyes widened as they looked at Suho and Essel with confused faces. You really came here without knowing anything, huh? One of the guards asked. The desert city of Camera was a small town that thrived on tourists who came to see the pyramid, but life in the tourist town changed about a month ago. Camera turned into a nightmare as the entire desert surrounding it turned into a field-type dungeon. Many tourists and residents turned into mist burns and began attacking people. The awakened individuals among them had fought against them. The chaos led to numerous deaths. Those who barely survived the incident started escaping the field using helicopters. Because of the giant centipedes swarming around the village, helicopters were the only means of transportation. Then, something strange happened. Hunters from elsewhere began gathering in the city, arriving via helicopters. They all had one goal: the pyramid. These hunters came and immediately started exploring the interior of the pyramid. They had their reasons. The guards say that some fortune teller made a strange prophecy a month ago, Essel said. A prophecy? Suho raised an eyebrow in response. With a somewhat odd expression, Essel explained the prophecy. Soon, life born from death will break free from its seal. The prophecy also piqued Baru's interest as his eyes sparkled. And that power will raise the dead. Suho and Baru simultaneously exchanged glances. The prophecy sounded vague and abstract, but the two couldn't help to feel an uncanny familiarity. Young monarch, this prophecy seems to. Is it about me? Life born from death? The line seemed like an obvious reference to Suho, the son of the monarch of shadows. It also alluded to Suho's seal being broken and the power to raise the dead via shadow extraction. But it appeared that this prophecy had an entirely different interpretation for others. Essel continued her explanation. It just so happens that when this prophecy surfaced, a dungeon break occurred inside this pyramid. The timing couldn't have been more ominous. Expressions like life born from death were commonly found in various mythologies across different countries, including Egypt. Suho's immediately thought of pyramids and pharaohs. Throughout history, many rulers desired eternal life. But the pharaohs of Egypt had taken this pursuit a step further. They desired dominion even in the afterlife and ordered the construction of colossal pyramids with the toil of countless slaves. The timing is quite a coincidence. It seems that hunters from around the world are flocking here because of the prophecy. Suho finally grasped the situation and nodded. The ancient pyramid was a structure already shrouded in mystery and had always captured people's imaginations for thousands of years. For those who were unaware of the power of the monarch of shadows, hearing a fortune teller's prophecy about a skill that could bestow eternal life or resurrect the dead could lead to false interpretations and hopes. After all, various skills occasionally emerged from runestones discovered in dungeons. Yet, it seems something significant but unexpected was found inside. What was it? Just a moment. Essel stared at a security guard she had been conversing with for a while. The guard turned red in the face for no apparent reason and then shrugged his shoulders. I can teach you, but there's a condition attached. Right before Suho was about to ask what the condition was, Essel had already lifted the guard by his collar. You dare try to make a deal with us? The noble demon side of her returned as she stared at the guard with cold indifference. Suppressed by her imperiousness, the guard's complexion turned pale, and he stammered, the hunters found an inscription in the depths of the pyramid. An inscription? What does it say? The challenger's future will be shown with a brilliant light. It was an inscription that had never before appeared in Egyptian history. Chapter 47. The challenger's future will be shown with a brilliant light. Great spellcaster Candiaru. This was the inscription found by the hunters, a kind that had never before been discovered in the history of Egypt. Hunters were naturally excited about this historic discovery, which led to an influx of hunters willing to risk the dangers and visit the small city of Kamaru. Baru, who had been quietly listening to Essel's words, tilted his head. Candiaru? What is it? Suho asked, turning toward the ant beast. I know that name. Baru stroked his chin. Great spellcaster Candiaru. He's the architect, the being who designed the level-up system. The architect? Why would someone like that deface the pyramid? That, I don't know. More importantly, isn't that structure ancient? That's right. Candiaru was a sorcerer from a mystical world who dreamed of eternal life. Great spellcaster Candiaru was originally a sorcerer who had aimed for transcendence and eternal life. Eventually, he came to an agreement with the rulers to achieve that goal and designed the level-up system. The culmination of the system was none other than Suho's father, Sung Jinwoo. So, what is he up to now? Suho asked. His whereabouts have been unknown ever since the monarch's war. No one knows if he ended up achieving eternal life or if he just simply died. Baru stared at the pyramid in the distance with a meaningful gaze. It's possible that there may be traces of Candiaru left in that pyramid. The goal of the emergency quest was to eliminate the cause of the dimensional crack. It seemed like creating a dimensional crack would be easy for a being like Candiaru, the creator of the leveling system. Suho felt like the pieces of the puzzle were neatly falling into place, and he turned his gaze toward the pyramid. Let's go inside right away. As Suho and Essel attempted to move toward the pyramid, one of the guards urgently called, "Wait." Baffled, they turned around and were stopped by a hesitant guard. "If you're going to enter the pyramid, you should be careful." "Why?" Essel asked. As the guard continued his lengthy explanation, Suho looked at Essel for translation. "To summarize, there's a recent guild that forcibly took control of the pyramid." "A guild?" Suho said, puzzled. The Scavenger Guild was one of the major guilds in the United States. The guild was founded by S-rank hunter, Thomas Andre, who was a UFC openweight champion before his awakening. He had no real rivals in the ring, and he maintained his title as champion until retirement. As he was heading toward old age, he suddenly awakened as an S-rank hunter and subsequently became one of the strongest hunters in the United States, unmatched both inside and outside the ring. Due to his renown, the Scavenger Guild's reputation was unparalleled in the United States. The symbol of the guild was power. Under the guild master's belief that those with power conquered everything, they had gained a notorious reputation. At the same time, they took responsibility for the safety of the citizens and exterminated numerous monsters. It seems like the Scavenger Guild isn't in full force. "There aren't too many of them," Essel, the walking interpreter, smoothly interpreted the words of the guards. It was natural for the guards to be concerned for Suho's group as they were about to enter the pyramid that had been taken over by the Scavenger Guild, which would surely lead to a confrontation. However, Suho had no other choice but to proceed with the quest. Despite the guards' objections, Suho and Essel entered the village and headed straight for the pyramid. Having served him well thus far, Arachne returned to Suho's shadow, finally free from the gaze of the onlooking residents. The atmosphere of the village is quiet. Suho crossed the street while observing his surroundings. Hunters of both great and middling levels of power were living throughout the village. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary village, but it was easy to sense that everyone's attention was directed at the pyramid. They all seemed ready to dash toward the pyramid at any moment. But there was a reason why they couldn't do so. "It's because of those guys," Suho said. Several fierce-looking young men were guarding the entrance to the pyramid. The leader of the guards at the entrance was Gerald, a B-rank hunter from the Scavenger Guild. He had been feeling miserable ever since he was brought here unceremoniously a few days ago. Dragging people all the way to Egypt for some prophecy or whatever is nonsense. Moreover, he was also upset about being made to stand guard under the scorching sun. Gerald's already fierce appearance was further marred by the blistering heat. "Who are these people?" Gerald spotted a man and a woman slowly approaching the pyramid, which caused his anger to boil even more. He turned to one of his underlings. "What's the meaning of this? Weren't all the hunters down there informed?" "Everyone has been informed, sir. We told them that approaching the pyramid would be considered an act of hostility toward the Scavenger Guild." "What are they trying to prove, then? Do they think they have 9 lives?" There was a reason why Gerald was deliberately talking to his subordinate. Most hunters had excellent hearing, so his conversation served as a warning, an open threat promising death for whoever dared to approach. His words naturally reached Suho's ears, but he couldn't understand them as they were in English. Essel saw no need to translate such words. "They are coming toward us," a guild member said. Suho and Essel ascended the pyramid stairs one step at a time. Just as they got closer, Gerald signaled to his subordinates, and the Scavenger Guild members suddenly attacked Suho without any warning. "Get lost, you punk," one of them shouted. "Huh?" Suho tilted his head as he looked at them. "Is this how you want to do this? Perhaps this is for the best considering the language barrier." Suho smiled brightly and drew his swords. Actions speak louder than words. Storm Slash. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Suddenly, a raging sandstorm was heading toward the hunters of the Scavenger Guild. As they descended the steep outer walls of the pyramid, their bodies flailed against the storm. Meanwhile, a fierce battle was unfolding inside the pyramid. The dungeon break had changed the interior of the pyramid into a labyrinth. Other hunters were exploring the area before the Scavenger Guild arrived, and their attitude toward the existing hunters was domineering. "You have 2 choices. Leave or die. These people are completely insane." We were here first. The hunters standing up against them were burning with anger. Rio Singh, a B-rank hunter from the Azura Guild, had been exploring the labyrinth for a week, and he wasn't about to let some newcomers forcibly drive him and the others out. No hunter would simply back down in a situation like this. "Everyone, prepare for battle," Rio said. The Azura Guild, true to its name, was no pushover. They all carried dual swords, and the crimson glow emanating from their weapons evoked the image of the mythical demons they were named after. As they assumed a full combat stance, a sinister tension consumed the area. The Scavenger Guild had underestimated them due to their inferior numbers, but now there was no turning back. Rio Singh raised his dual swords, signaling that he wasn't going to back down. "We didn't come this far to leave empty-handed. It's best not to underestimate us." Rio Singh was a rising star in the Azura Guild. In India's caste society, social mobility was difficult without significant achievement or recognition. The developments in the pyramid had been a matter of great interest within the Azura Guild. The rising star had volunteered for this task to elevate his status. "They'll expel me from the guild if I return empty-handed." "Who are these guys?" Randolph, the leader of the gang of Scavenger Guild hunters, was taken aback by the Azura Guild's unyielding response. They were much braver than the other hunters, but that wasn't a concern for him. "These guys really want to see some blood." His lips curled into a sinister smile. "It's not a crime to kill in a dungeon. Kill them all." At that moment, the hunters of the Scavenger Guild were each enveloped in an armor of aura. While the Azura Guild's vanguard consisted of damage dealers, the Scavenger Guild was primarily comprised of tankers. The matchup isn't favorable. Rio Singh felt an instinctual sense of danger. The imposing presence of the well-organized tankers was reminiscent of colossal magic beasts. It was a clash of swords and shields. However, in this confined space where wielding weapons was difficult, the shield held a significant advantage. "Take them all down." "Ah!" Scavenger Guild members rushed forward, relying on their exceptional defense. "Spread out." At Rio Singh's command, the Azura Guild members used their dual swords to ruthlessly tear down the barrier they had been using to block the attack. With the space now secured, "Everyone, attack!" Rio ordered. A clash of swords and shields ensued. "Throw everything you've got." Randolph overwhelmed his opponents with sheer force. "They are putting up a fight, but this won't change the outcome. Your feeble strikes will never penetrate our armor. The decisive factor in battle is overwhelming strength." Randolph's team was comprised of some of the strongest members of the Scavenger Guild, and their brute strength caused the Azura Guild members to bounce off uncontrollably. "Aim for the gaps in their armor." Rio Singh's command proved effective. No matter how great a tanker might be, they weren't invulnerable. There were undoubtedly vulnerabilities in their armor they couldn't protect. However, the Scavenger Guild members were well aware of this fact. They had been trained to fill these gaps and pressure their opponents while doing so. "Ha ha ha! Come at us from any angle!" Randolph roared and charged like a truck, slamming into Rio Singh and sending him flying. The Azura Guild's rising star slammed against the wall, and blood spewed from his mouth. "Is this the end?" Right at that moment, a wall collapsed in the distance, and a man and woman snuck into this intense battle. Suho had broken through the labyrinth walls to reach the battle. His eyes met with Rio's before he casually shifted his gaze toward Randolph. He nodded slowly, seemingly in thought, before turning away from them. "Well, please continue with what you were doing." Chapter 48. Where do you think you're going? Randolph wasn't the type to let Suho pass by unnoticed. With a voice full of bloodlust, he ordered his subordinates to chase after Suho, and the Scavenger Guild hunters charged at him like a pack of rhinos. How dare they? Baru's eyes burned with anger. Suho observed the incoming charge with ease. An entire team of tankers, huh? The guards at the entrance were tankers, so he assumed there would be more inside. Typically, an assault team consisted of a balanced number of damage dealers, tanks, and healers. However, the balance wasn't an absolute requirement. For instance, if tankers could fulfill the role of damage dealers, like the current situation, it wouldn't pose a problem. However, weaknesses were bound to reveal themselves when the balance was disrupted. Arise! A colossal shadow spider rose from Suho's shadow and moved according to his will. The creature shot black spider webs across the narrow labyrinth. The feet and clothes of the scavenger guild hunters, who were running toward them at great speed, got stuck in the spider webs, slowing them down. That was the cue for Suho and Essel to move. A summoner? He's just a petty trickster. Randolph chuckled and drew mana from his body. It was natural for a member of the scavenger guild, who only revered strength, to scoff at a summoner. Summoners are so pathetic, hiding behind their summoned creatures, and trailing along like obedient puppies. The best tactic is to ignore the creatures and go straight for the hunter behind them, Randolph thought. His overwhelming strength tore through the spider silk. However, Arachne's spider silk was imbued with mana. Not only could she produce more, but her silk possessed a sinister skill. Arachne activated the skill, puppetry. As the enemy tankers tore through the spider silk, one of the advancing hunters swung his powerful arm and knocked down a nearby colleague. "What the hell? Have you gone mad?" the hunter who took that punch shouted, his nose bleeding. To make matters worse, his legs suddenly bent at a strange angle, and they tripped up another colleague passing by. "What are you doing?" the stumbling hunter yelled. With great force, the members of the scavenger guild fell and rolled across the floor like dominoes. The chaos made Randolph's face turn red with frustration, and he stomped the ground with trembling rage, forming a crack as if an earthquake was happening. Being beaten by overwhelming force is one thing, but I won't be ridiculed by these small-time tricks. Pull yourself together. Capture him immediately. Yes, sir. At Randolph's resounding roar, the scavenger guild members snapped back to attention. This time, they cautiously advanced to surround the enemy. "Have you forgotten about me?" Essel had quietly returned to the action, and her spear charged toward them. Dodging the straight-flying projectile in this confined space was no easy task, and the difficulty compounded as Essel's spear triggered an explosion of mana. Despite narrowly avoiding that attack, the wall behind the scavenger guild hunters crumbled and collapsed onto them as it exploded. The spear returned to Essel's hand, and once again, she pressed forward and threw the spear to exert more pressure on her enemies. Meanwhile, Suho was planning to go for the jugular. "I'll target the leader." Randolph's eyebrows twitched as he watched Suho charging directly at him. It seemed that they were due for a head-on collision. "You dare target me first? Do I look that easy to you?" Randolph gave Suho a mocking smile before increasing his momentum to confront him. Empowered by extreme mana, Randolph's attack aimed for Suho as it soared through the air. Ruler's authority. Suho leaped and stepped over the attack in midair. He then deftly executed an aerial somersault, landing behind Randolph. "Huh? Well then, we'll be on our way." Suho chuckled and casually raised his hand toward Randolph. His arrogant smile further antagonized Randolph as sparks flew off his eyes. "Who do you think you're messing with? He's easy to provoke." An idea suddenly came to Suho. His sense stat identified that Randolph was an A-rank hunter. He was a formidable opponent beyond his current strength level. But if his personality resembled his simple, brutish face, there was a myriad of ways to use it against him. First, let's test the waters. Using Ruler's authority, Suho lifted a nearby brick into the air, and it landed with a solid thud on the back of the tanker's head. "You have no idea what you're getting yourself into," Randolph shouted. Suho knew that a mere brick to the back of his head would have felt like a light tap. But its intended effect was satisfying. "I'm going to kill you with my bare hands." Randolph pushed aside his fellow hunters and charged toward Suho. Despite the imminent charge of danger, Suho simply chuckled. Now is the right time. Arachne activated the skill, puppetry. The ceiling exploded above them, and through the gaping hole, a colossal centipede revealed itself. Screech! Everyone within the area was horrified. Venom-toothed sand centipede. The grotesque, gigantic monster that belonged in the red desert had suddenly entered the battlefield. What is that thing doing here? I thought they kept away from this place. Everyone's gaze shifted to Suho, the summoner, who conjured magic insects like giant spiders. No. It can't be. But there was no time to connect the dots. Ah. Run. Startled by the ferocious roar of the sand centipede determined to wriggle its way into the labyrinth, the hunters scattered in panic. Essel approached Suho and asked, "Is this your doing? I think we should better start running." Meanwhile, chaos erupted in the village. Sand centipedes had suddenly swarmed the village and began attacking. Have these things gone mad all of a sudden? What everyone feared had finally arrived. The sand centipedes lurking in the sands nearby were invading the village. Many presumed that the beasts would brazenly attack the hunters in the village, but the sand centipedes were solely fixated on the pyramid. The centipedes are swarming toward the pyramid. Stay off the path. We're not their target. Quick-witted hunters swiftly retreated and stayed clear of the centipedes. They weren't monsters they could handle in the first place. The sand centipedes, each clinging onto the sides of the pyramid, began gnawing at the stone walls to make their way inside. What in the world? The hunters couldn't help but gape at the bizarre spectacle unfolding before them. Something incredible must be inside. More importantly, the hunters inside are destined to die. Having been denied entry by the Scavenger Guild, the hunters outside the pyramid felt a certain sense of justice. Soon enough, they came to share the same conclusion. They planned to enter the pyramid once the situation was resolved and every Scavenger Guild hunter inside was dead. The hunters of Camera all looked up at the ancient structure in unison. The sudden invasion of sand centipedes threw the situation into disarray. Suho, along with Essel, retreated in the opposite direction of the Scavenger Guild. As a result, they encountered more hunters along the way. Before them was none other than the Azura Guild. Suho and Ryo Singh coincidentally met at a crossroads. Ryo introduced himself, "I am Ryo Singh of the Azura Guild." "Which guild do you belong to?" "What?" Suho's gaze turned to Essel, the interpreter. After a quiet sigh, Essel answered on behalf of Suho, "We are independent hunters from South Korea." "South Korea? I see. Given the situation, how about a temporary alliance?" Ryo tried to read Suho's demeanor with a keen gaze. Although he hasn't disclosed his affiliation, he's undoubtedly a rising star from a renowned guild. He had observed Suho's performance against Randolph in its entirety. His quick judgment and combat prowess at least equaled his own. Suho had no reason to reject the Azura Guild hunter's proposition. With the appearance of sand centipedes, now was not the time for humans to be fighting one another. "Well, let's go along with that then." Seeing Suho nod, Ryo let out a relieved sigh. This worked out well. I have many questions for them. Suho conversed with him through Essel, who acted as the interpreter. What happened here? Ryo Singh, avoiding the sand centipedes, moved whilst answering Suho's curiosity. This pyramid wants us to prove our worth. Prove our worth? The familiar expression simultaneously narrowed Suho and Baru's eyes. Interesting. Ryo Singh inwardly marveled after observing Suho's interest. The typical response to a test in a dungeon like this was to worry about your life. It was natural to fear death. The Great Cataclysm had occurred suddenly 2 years ago. Since then, numerous scientists raised questions about this phenomenon, but they all failed to uncover the identity of this anomaly. Most people feared the unknown, but Suho's reaction showed that he was different. Is he smiling? This young man seems genuinely delighted by this predicament. He has the hallmarks of a true Azura. He's reveling in the challenge, Ryo thought, a misconception he wasn't aware of. Is this what I think it is? Suho asked. It seems to be, Baru answered. The trial that had taken place in Magok Field immediately sprang to mind. The test to prove one's worth as king was happening here as well. If this is another trial, Suho knew that there was only one way to prove it. He needed to delve deeper. His problem was the annoying human roadblocks blocking his path. Ultimately, we need to deal with those scavenger guild members first before we can proceed. Suho gazed intently at the path the scavenger guild members had escaped to avoid the sand centipedes. He guesses that the path they took led to the heart of the labyrinth. Presumably, they were also heading further down to explore that area for the trial. Suho, what's your plan? Essel, noticing Suho's contemplation, asked. There are too many of them to handle on our own. Suho agreed with that statement. Arachne alone won't be enough. I need more soldiers to have a better chance. The new troops also needed to be on par with Arachne's strength. I think there is a way, after all, Suho said, his eyes sparkling, as the distant cries of the sand centipedes pierced the air. Sand centipedes were nearly impossible to best in an open desert, but defeating one in a narrow space seemed achievable. Chapter 49. You're not going to hunt those centipedes, right? Ryo Singh's eyes widened in surprise. The fire in Suho's belly reignited as the bursting cries of sand centipedes rang in his ears. His face was lit with the determination of a hunter aiming at his prey. Suho, are you serious about this? Essel asked. I think I could defeat one in a confined space like this. The conversation was nothing but a formality as Suho had already made up his mind. Wait. Dealing with those centipedes is more dangerous than fighting the scavenger guild. Ryo Singh urgently tried to stop Suho. He had seen arrogance drive many hunters to their deaths. Too many skilled hunters like Suho had died miserably. How about this? Let's take a few hours to rest. This will give time for healers to recover their mana. Then, we can join forces to face the scavenger guild. There's no time for that. Suho firmly rejected Ryo's proposal. He raised his head toward the ceiling, observing the falling rocks. At this rate, who knows when the pyramid might suddenly collapse. You better escape now. Leave this to me. I can't do that. I can't go back empty-handed. Ryo rose to his feet and followed Suho. But the impact from Randolph's attack earlier still lingered in his body, and he winced as his body jerked from the discomfort. Baruch clicked his tongue. Right now, you're just a weak scavenger. Misguided bravery will kill a hunter faster than those centipede out there. Ryo's face turned red. He couldn't understand Baruch's words, but the meaning embedded in the ant's disdainful gaze was evident. As a rising star in his guild, receiving such a look from a mere summoned creature was undeniably a disgrace. You and your team should stay here and rest. We'll head out first, Suho said. I feel ashamed. Ryo Singh eventually slumped to the ground, heaving a sigh. His persistence ended when something dawned on him. Every hunter from his guild, including himself, was currently ravaged by injuries, unable to continue without rest. Ryo gritted his teeth as he thought about Randolph, the menace behind the crisis. Just you wait. We'll have our revenge. Burning with the thirst for vengeance, he glanced at Suho. Can I ask for a favor? What is it? If you run into any scavenger guild hunters on the way, make sure to give them a mighty whack from us. I could give them more than one. That's reassuring. Ryo seemed satisfied with Suho's answer. He then took out a ring from his pocket. Take this. The ring sparkled before Suho's eyes. Item, Horus Ring. Acquisition difficulty, B. Type, accessory. Intelligence stat plus 10. Effect Wisdom of Horus, mana regeneration speed increased by 30%. I found this artifact while I was exploring the labyrinth. I hope it's helpful. Ryo couldn't check the item's powers like Suho could and seemed to be unaware of the impressive qualities of the ring he was handing over. This is exactly the item I need right now. Suho had keenly felt his shortcomings during the recent battle with the sand centipedes, especially his low mana points. He had previously invested all residual stats into strength, gaining formidable power. However, the increasing importance of other skills made him realize the necessity of his intelligence stat, and the ring was a timely treasure that boosted the stat by a whopping 10 points. Moreover, an increase in my intelligence stats means I can summon more shadow soldiers. Suho needed to capture sand centipedes, and a strategy to overwhelm them with numerical superiority was ultimately his best solution. The chances of victory against such powerful beasts, even with every shadow soldier he could summon, were slim. However, Horus Ring improved the odds of victory, tipping the scales slightly in his favor. "Thanks. I'll put it to good use." Before Ryo Singh could change his mind, Suho quickly slipped the ring on his finger. Status window. Suho immediately checked his status window. Status window. Name, Sung Suho. Level, 26. Job, none. Title, Wolf Slayer. HP, 6356/350. MP, 1-235/1-235. Stats. Strength, 54. Stamina, 35. Agility, 35. Intelligence, 35, plus 10. Sense, 35, plus 5. Available ability points, 0. Wow. Suho's eyes widened in astonishment. His mana, which was at 635, had surged to 1,235 in an instant. It had almost doubled, meaning that the duration of Giant's armor was also doubled. Number of extractable shadows, 1/20th. Now, I have something to work with. Smiling, Suho turned his gaze toward the presence of the sand centipedes. Let's go. I felt the presence of other magic beasts on the way here, Baru said. The shadow ant guided Suho, flickering his short feelers. The young monarch needed more shadow soldiers, so the news of more magical beasts was a welcome one. Suho parted ways with the Azura Guild and leaped into the labyrinth. Meanwhile, the Scavenger Guild hunters, who had leaped into the heart of the labyrinth to avoid the sand centipedes, were facing their fair share of challenges. Stop them. More mummies are rising again from their coffins. As you'd expect from a pyramid, the magic beasts that spawned came in the form of mummies. The hunters initially underestimated the beasts as they slowly limped toward them. But they soon realized that the mummies posed a significant challenge. Crash. Randolph. These creatures keep rising again and again, no matter how many times we kill them. Then snap their limbs so they can't. But... Randolph was taken aback. One by one, his team succumbed to the mummies and began to fall, their faces as white as the creatures' bandages. Poison? Upon closer inspection, Randolph saw that a foul poison oozed out of the mummies' bandages every time they were slashed. What's going on? The A-rank tanker had faced various monsters during his time at the Scavenger Guild, but he had never encountered such monsters before. These monsters can endlessly resurrect themselves. There's usually a summoner behind such magic, controlling them from the shadow. But why isn't there one here? Randolph had been searching for the summoner this whole time, but he couldn't even find a trace. We need to find the summoner, no matter what. There must be one hiding nearby controlling these creatures. Randolph was anxious. The sound of centipedes approaching behind him rapidly echoed, while a host of mummies were now surrounding him and his team. Healers. Have you recovered your mana yet? Randolph shouted. I am sorry. If you could just wait a little longer. A healer pleaded. You bunch are utterly useless. As Randolph angrily kicked away the mummy that was rushing toward him, the healers' faces turned pale. Despite their best efforts, their depleted mana wasn't replenishing quickly enough. This won't do. Ignore everything and charge forward. Randolph. What about the poison? Just hold your breath, and you'll be fine. Move it. Randolph charged at them with great ferocity, forcing the mummies to bounce away like bowling pins. We don't have time to waste on these weaklings. Just charge. The mummies would eventually become food for the approaching centipedes, and the possibility of the sand centipede succumbing to the mummy's poison was a favorable outcome for them. Spurred by Randolph's relentless determination, his fellow hunters eventually swallowed down their fears and started charging forward to escape the encircling mummies. Decayed mummy. Decayed mummy. Suho and Essel were surrounded by numerous mummies upon entering the labyrinth, finding themselves in a tight spot. The lavender-haired demon, attacking the mummies with her spear, soon grasped the challenge at hand. Suho. These things have no weaknesses. They just won't die. It is because they're already corpses, Baru, floating in the air and watching the battle, replied nonchalantly. And they also release poison. Essel added. Like I said, they are corpses. The ant's disinterested explanation made him seem impudent. He fluttered around the mummies with genuine curiosity. Young monarch, these are not your average monsters. What do you mean? They've been created using sorcery. Sorcery? Suho said. The word brought to mind a familiar name-grade spellcaster Candiaru. Not many can create monsters of this caliber. These monsters don't die even when killed. It's like someone tried to mimic the shadow soldiers. Baru pondered, recalling the architect who had designed the leveling up system. Candiaru was a powerful sorcerer who dreamed of immortality. Perhaps this place was his laboratory. However, it seems like he ultimately failed and could only create these imperfect beings. Suho looked at the mummies and nodded in agreement. Target is eligible for shadow extraction. Target is eligible for shadow extraction. Target is eligible for shadow extraction. Messages began popping up from the moment Suho engaged these creatures. He was now certain that these creatures were dead from the very start. Suho smirked with the monarch of Shadow's power to control death and rule over the deceased. He extended his hand toward the approaching mummies. Arise. At that moment, shadows began rippling under the feet of the advancing mummies that slowly turned their white bandages black. The shadow extraction was a success. The shadow extraction was a success. The shadow extraction was a success. The mummies were now wrapped in black bandages, and a new name tag was shown above their heads. Shadow Mummy Level 1 Normal Grade. Huh? As Essel witnessed this spectacle, a look of futility crossed her face, seeing that her efforts were ultimately fruitless. All that was needed was for Suho to control the dead like normal, a matter of compatible control. Suho continued to leisurely walk through the host of mummies coming at him, extending his hand. Arise. The shadow extraction was a success. Arise. The shadow extraction was a success. Black bandages tightly wound around the mummies as they started to shout in awe at Suho, who had finally brought them the genuine taste of death. As more fell under his spell, their roars transformed into a majestic chorus, resembling the hymns of a grand yet sinister choir. Witnessing the magnificent spectacle, Baru smirked ominously. Life born from death. I must say, I find that prophecy quite appealing. Chapter 50. The Scavenger Guild hunters were fighting back the mummies while simultaneously trying to keep up with Randolph, who was leading the way. Arg. Nonetheless, they had fortunately figured out how to handle the mummies to a certain extent after watching Randolph. With his tremendous strength, Randolph had unceremoniously pulled apart the limbs of the mummies blocking his way. Don't just break their legs, rip them out completely. Make sure they never get up again. Tear off their arms so they can't crawl. The method proved effective. In the wake of Randolph's storm-like charge, the ground was littered with mummies missing limbs, wriggling around like bugs. However, their recovery was ultimately a matter of time. These things can regenerate, a hunter cried. The bandages were essentially the glue that maintained the mummy's shape. The bandages began to move on their own, reattaching the fallen limbs and resurrecting the bodies. Randolph's method wasn't the solution they were looking for, but it had bought some time. Seize this opportunity. Keep running. Randolph shouted. The hunters of the Scavenger Guild ran with all their might. However, the labyrinth was intricate and got lost several times. Suddenly at that precise moment, the hunters lagging behind Randolph noticed Suho approaching from a distance. Isn't that the summoner from earlier? Yeah, it is. How dare he enter this place? The remaining Scavenger Guild hunters were in a life-threatening situation. But the reason for enduring this level of hardship was to uncover the hidden artifacts within the pyramid, and they couldn't afford to let other hunters steal their prize. Good. Let's capture him and use him as bait for the mummies. Just as they were about to ambush Suho, they heard a loud noise. Shriek. A horde of black mummies emerged behind him as Suho turned the corner, and the Scavenger Guild hunters were frozen in place. This is insane. What the heck is that? Upon encountering him again, they found that Suho was leading a unit of black mummies. Huh? Suho finally noticed the hunters. The Scavenger Guild hunters immediately turned away as an innate sense of terror took over them. Damn it! Run! As they began to flee without hesitation, Essel swiftly threw her spear to collapse the wall, blocking their escape route. Eventually, the hunters mustered the courage to turn towards Suho with eyes filled with venom. I don't know what's going on, but one thing is for sure, we must kill the summoner. Ignore the mummies and just kill that B******. However, their momentum didn't last long. The previous mummies they faced had regenerated slowly, but the black mummies before them came back at an unbelievable rate. Excellent. The increase in the young monarch's mana is evident. Baru cheered enthusiastically for the mummies. The screams of hunters echoed, creating a completely different atmosphere from just moments before. Young monarch, do not forget that your true power lies in this undying army. Suho's army overwhelmed them, continually advancing, but he never became overconfident. He knew he was still behind the strength of Randolph, the A-rank hunter. I need to capture a venomous sand centipede. Suho continued forward toward the distant screams of the sand centipedes. Fortunately, the opportunity to defeat one came sooner than expected. As the Scavenger Guild hunters began fleeing from the black mummies, the ceiling above them collapsed, revealing a lurking sand centipede. Save me! No! In an instant, the sand centipede devoured a hunter whole and then shifted its gaze to find more prey. Choked by the venom flowing steadily from the centipede's fangs, the unfortunate victim struggled to breathe. Skill, Storm Slash has activated. Suho swiftly conjured a storm of blades to disperse the pungent venomous fog as the toxin could deplete his health points. How kind of you to come to me directly. Suho then brandished his dual blades, fully intent on hunting down the creature. Everyone, charge! 19 shadow mummies swarmed the sand centipede in response. The sand centipede mercilessly slaughtered Suho's soldiers, but no matter how torn their bodies became, the mummies continued to regenerate, their bandages reattaching with frightening consistency. With renewed ferocity, the shadow mummies charged at the creature like demons. The venom dripping from the sand centipede's fangs seemed to have no effect on the black mummies as they were immune to the poison. In turn, the venom of the black mummies had no effect on the sand centipede. Ultimately, the fierce battle between these relentless beasts continued with each side tearing into the other. Arachne! Don't let it escape. Spin a web to trap it. Following Suho's command, Arachne began spraying webs onto the sand centipede. Essel! Keep restraining it so that it can't tear the webs. How? However you can. Essel impulsively leaped forward. She infused mana into her spear, and it began to elongate. Oh, I didn't know that was possible. Seizing the opportunity, Suho quickly bought a mana potion from the store and drank it. He looked at Essel with amazement. Baru appeared and explained the phenomena. I suppose some demons can use spiritual possession that way. It's like a spirit transfer. The demons from the Stardust Factory would have used a similar technique to possess their human vessels. Spirit transfer? Suho asked. Yes. That spear is a demon's horn. If a demon is capable of transferring its spirit, the spear should be able to accept it, allowing the demon to infuse mana into it and adjust its size. Then what about mine? Suho asked, raising his weapon. Vulcan's horn. Isn't this sword also made from a demon's horn? Ah. Now that you mention it. Baru's eyes lit up. If I recall, Vulcan was an enormous demon. Its horn must have been incredibly large. If the horn was so big, why is the sword so small? In the process of crafting the weapon, the power was likely compressed by using spirit magic. At that moment, Suho had a revelation. Item: Vulcan's Horn. Acquisition difficulty? Type: sword. Attack power plus 40. It's a sword made from the horn of the greedy demon Vulcan. Vulcan's power imbues it with the ability to inflict greater damage. Effect: Destructive Desire, increases physical damage by 40%. Effect: Demon Devourer, as it feeds on demon souls, Vulcan's power grows stronger. Devoured demon souls, 10. The messages reminded Suho of the sword's powers. Made from the horn of Vulcan, it was a weapon that grew stronger as it absorbed demon souls, and one happened to be battling fiercely right in front of it. Essel wasn't just your average demon, she was a demon born with noble blood. Essel. What? She responded without even turning her head. I just remembered something, can you help? I don't know why, but sure. I'll take that as a yes. Suho's mouth curled up as he approached Essel, who was still fighting with the sand centipede. He pushed Vulcan's horn toward her. Can you use spirit transfer now? It's possible, but why? Eek. Essel belatedly noticed Vulcan's horn in Suho's hand and was startled. Suho grinned brightly and asked, Can you go inside Vulcan's horn for a moment? I'm a little busy right now. Already engaged in a tense battle, Essel had no time to debate Suho's sudden proposal. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, but... Oh, whatever. Spirit transfer. Flash. Essel's body gradually turned transparent, transforming into an ethereal form. And just like how Grey had strengthened Suho's body before, she melded into Vulcan's horn. Vulcan's horn devoured the demon's soul. At that moment, Essel's sharp voice burst forth within Vulcan's horn. Okay, satisfied? What's the next step? Great! Can this sword also grow like your spear? Of course. Now I understand what you wanted. Time was of the essence, and the explanation given was brief, but Essel understood Suho's intention. She recalled the moment when Suho had grown in size to confront the sand centipede. He had fought without a weapon and only used his fists. Do you want me to enlarge the sword now? I'll need your mana for that. Hold on. There's something we have to do beforehand. Suho skillfully dodged the incoming attacks from the sand centipede, and then he commanded the shadow mummies to attack the creature. He examined Rocken's fang as he held it in his opposite hand. You saw that, right? Can you do that too? Rocken's fang remained silent, offering no response. No? I thought it worked the same way as a demon's horn, you being a fang and all. Suho vividly remembered his encounter with Rocken, the king of beasts at the place of eternal rest. He recalled how the sword was made from the fang of the monarch's original form, a massive wolf. It had to be larger than this. It's possible, but it's beyond my authority, the sword replied. Then, a timely response came from the former monarch himself. Rocken graciously nods to signal his approval. The sword needed Rocken's permission, for he was the original owner of the fang. Good. Suho had been given the green light, and he felt there was no need to delay his attack any further. Giant's Armor. Skill: Giant's Armor has activated. An armor of aura enveloped Suho's body, and he doubled in size. Now, his two swords simultaneously expanded, becoming twice as large. Suho wielded the enlarged versions of Vulcan's horn and Rocken's fang in his hands, having increased in size themselves. He crossed the two dual blades, his eyes gleaming. It's a whole new ball game now. Suho dashed toward the sand centipede without hesitation, swinging his swords. The relentless onslaught created numerous wounds on the sand centipede's body, but it remained formidable. Sensing danger, the centipede wriggled its body and attempted to escape from the pyramid, and the ancient structure trembled as if it might collapse. Sensing urgency, Suho decided to unleash all of his mana at once. Grey, it's time for divine possession. Grey's spiritual body from the shadow dungeon rode Suho's shadow and then wove itself into it. The spiritual body of Pet, Grey is bound to the shaman. Suho's hair took on a silver hue, and a wild energy rippled across his body. Skill, Meta Wind has activated. Movement speed is temporarily increased by 30%. Attack speed is temporarily increased by 30%. Suho's sword strikes became incredibly swift as he slashed the centipede with more ruthlessness, and a scream erupted from the sand centipede's mouth. Finally, Suho's sword severed the creature's neck. Venomous sand centipede has been defeated. The colossal monster finally collapsed at the same time Suho's mana also hit rock bottom. Level up. Level up. Level up. Thanks to the level ups, Suho's condition returned to its original state. Deactivate, Suho said. Divine Possession has been deactivated. Pet, Gray has detached its spiritual body from the shaman. Skill, Giant's Armor has been deactivated. Suho shrank again and returned to his original size. He then looked at the sprawled corpse of the giant sand centipede before him. With a sly smile, Suho cast a skill on the dead creature without hesitation. Arise.